From getting absolutely owned by a random Trump supporter.
You can afford a boat. You're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money and it's a lot of upkeep.
Listen, nobody gave me I earned everything that I've got.
To being schooled by UFC legend Sean Strickland.
Oh man, well dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. You're part of the fucking problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just fucking pathetic. And the fact that you have no fucking backbone, and has he shut down your fucking country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that, go fuck yourself.
These are the times woke reporters got absolutely owned. With election season in full swing, Americans on both sides of the aisle have concerns over the economy due to the way in which it has been going over the past presidency. Many have come out in favor of Trump because of his promise to lower taxes, but here we have one CNN reporter who tries to downplay a citizen's worry about taxes and the economy for the most unrelated reason, which is that he owns a boat.
What's your most important issue?
The economy, getting the interest rates down, getting it where we can afford to live in America. Right now, it's too expensive.
Okay, now let me maybe ask like a slightly impolite question. But, you know, if you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money and it's a lot of upkeep.
Listen, nobody gave me I earned everything that I've got. I'm retired military, retired power plant, and I am successful and retired and with boats, jet skis, because I did it right. And everybody has that chance. Whether they choose or not, that's up to them.
I would never try to take anything away from you in that way. But what I'm asking is, groceries are probably a smaller part of your budget than, say, you know, someone who's like a little worse off. I think it's interesting that people who are a little bit more comfortable are still so concerned about the economy. Did you see what I'm saying?
Because I want my money to go further. I want inflation to go down. I want interest rates to go back down. I want all that, but that covers everybody in the economy. Not just me, not just the poor, not just the rich. It covers everybody.
Being concerned about the economy is something that is universal regardless of which economic bracket you find yourself in, but this reporter is trying to make it seem like he's a bad person for caring about the economy because he has a bit of money to his name. Being worried about the economy as a citizen is the same as a farmer being worried about the weather. Doesn't matter how much work you do if the climate decides to rip you a new one. Sadly, even sports is being infiltrated by the woke agenda. Watch in this next clip how Dana White fights back against it.
Dana, I just want to go back. You were talking about, like, you obviously give a long leash to your fighters about, you know, what they can say when they are up there with a UFC microphone, and you are getting into territory of homophobia, transphobia. Like, is there...
I don't give anybody a leash.
Well, I'm saying you...
A leash?
Like...
Free speech. And control what people say. Gonna tell people what to believe. Gonna tell people... I don't fucking tell any other human being what to say, what to think, and there's no leashes on any of them. What is your question?
I was asking that question. I'll move on, though.
I'll move on, though. Yeah, you will. I bet you fucking will. See, this is why the UFC is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. They push no agenda and allow every fighter to have a platform as long as they're willing to throw their hands in the octagon. While he may be the CEO of the UFC, he's not someone who believes in keeping anyone on a leash. Free speech is an inherent right of any American citizen, and people should be allowed to express their views regardless of who agrees with it. But honestly, at least this reporter was respectful while asking his question, unlike the next reporter who was immediately shut down by Donald Trump for being pushing the racist agenda.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
For context, this lady saw this as an opportunity to push her politics and insinuated that Donald doesn't deserve the black vote because of some isolated incidents taken out of context. But watch how Donald calls out her BS and absolutely shuts her down.
I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country. Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here.
See, Donald came with the intention to clear any fear the black community had about him, but this reporter came to the interview with the full intention of ridiculing him. And Donald set her straight. This is the issue with journalists today and why no one trusts them anymore. The reporting is always biased and the interviews are conducted with a very clear agenda in mind. Thankfully, not every reporter is like this lady. Some know how to actually conduct an interview with another person without trying to twist people's words. Just look at this next clip of Piers Morgan schooling the crap out of these activists.
So many benefits.
Right, but if anyone, according to you, can identify as a woman, anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
just literally put the hand up and say I'm a woman.
But it's not an easy thing to do, to go out into the world.
It's very easy. Very easy.
You might think it's easy to say, but to decide to do that, to say
what
this
does
is
doing
who,
it involve?
Whatever that person decides, but to go out into the world and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I was born as.
So why can't I identify? Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status.
I think that's
talking about quite a
with
strong...
respect.
Man, the earnestness in his voice when he says he's a black lesbian is such comic gold. But seriously, think about what he's actually saying here. It's true that the entire gender identity shebang has lost its plot, and it's become something that very dangerous men can use to enter traditionally safe spaces for women. This isn't the only time he's tackled this issue on his show, though. Just look at this other debate he hosted with these activists.
What I actually want to talk about when it comes to women's sports, why is Caitlin Clark being paid 80 times less than her counterpart entering the NBA?
Well, that's quite straightforward too.
Because
nobody watches
Women don't want to talk about that.
Hold on. Can I ask you a question?
Women don't want to ever
hold on,
talk
Francesca.
about that.
Let me ask you a question. If I hit you over the head with a bat and I said the plan wasn't to kill you, it's because you had a fly in your head, would you still not go to the police for assault? Does my intention matter? Because that's exactly what you just said.
I'm just trying to Rube Goldberg,
That's exactly what you
said.
That's exactly what you said. Just because trans people are not identifying as trans to basically erode women's...
Hell yeah! It's amazing how the political left has completely lost the plot and went from being feminists to being people who work actively against women's rights.
You know what the issue is? They are useful idiots like you that are validating ascientific nonsense. There's no such thing as gender identity. Being trans-identifying is a mental illness. A reality that exists only in your head should not be validated, and specifically not at the expense of people that are just going about their business trying to win sporting tournaments or trying to use
There's
a lube.
useful idiots like you that are leading to the death of trans people. Because guaranteed,
all right, let Francesca respond.
And you can basically go to an island where all women think like you, and you can compete with all the biological men you want, but do not impose your backward views on the rest of us and have the audacity to call us progressive.
Man, oh man, I gotta grab a bite to eat because this is way more entertaining than anything else I was planning to do today. This lady is speaking what we're all thinking. It's amazing that we're all just expected to lie down and let this mentality steamroll over us just because it's politically correct. You know, this clip actually reminds me of a Bill Burr sketch from back in the day. Check this out.
Professional soccer player, right? She goes on to ESPN or one of these sports channels going like, I don't understand, how come female athletes don't make as much as male professional athletes? right? And all of these men had to sit there and act like they didn't know what the answer was. They had to sit there like dumbfounded, like, oh, I don't know. Why is that? Literally, I'm sitting at home screaming at the TV because you don't sell any fucking tickets! You're playing in a 20,000 seat arena. 1,500 people show up. The promoter lost his fucking ass on that gig.
Okay, I know for a fact now that wokeness is starting to get out of hand because it feels wrong to laugh at what he said, but like it or not, those are hard facts. It's amazing how comedians are the one nowadays who have to advocate for the public because no one else is brave enough to take this madness head on. Well, we have Bill Burr over here in America, but let's see what Britain's most famous comic, Ricky Gervais, has to say about wokeness in today's day and age.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. Offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. You know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything, you should polarise. You should polarise, because everyone's different.
I'm gonna get "you can't legislate against stupidity" printed and framed, because that is such a banger. Wokeness is such a cancer, and it's reached the very depths of our societies that obvious truths seem like amazing revelations. Just look at this next clip where you have political commentator Matt Walsh having an open dialogue with a transgender individual.
Okay. How can you assert that nobody would ever see me as a woman when my material experience tells me you're wrong?
Okay. It's interesting that that's the part of my talk you chose to ask a question about, because that's not in my talk at all. I don't believe I said that no one would ever see you as a woman. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, that you could fool someone. Now, you brought this up, so I have to tell you that you brought this up. You've put your identity on the table for conversation. And so I'm going to say you wouldn't fool me at all. I mean, I see a man 100%. And I think that most people would. Now, the fact that you have people in your life who are saying to you, oh, you're totally a woman, it's exactly what I'm talking about. No one in my life has ever once said to me, you're totally a man, Matt. You know, if a friend of mine called me on the phone and said, listen, Matt, I want you to know you're really a man, I would think that there was something wrong with him. I would say, why are you saying that at all?
We can see that Matt is responding to this person and trying to put some sense into this person by saying that people shouldn't have to have their gender constantly validated by someone else if it's true. Because if it's true, it doesn't have to be.
Now, what I would like to ask you, again, because you're standing here, and so you've brought your identity on the table for discussion. So how do you know that you're a woman?
It was a woman from England describing her experience, her childhood, her teenage years. And it blew my mind to be listening to her, because it was just some podcast that I was listening to while I was doing laundry. But it blew my mind to hear somebody so eloquently and precisely describe things that I had experiences that I had experienced.
What did they say?
Okay. So I am honestly hesitant. I know that you touched earlier about the difficulty that transgender women might have in describing their identity, but I want to state, I honestly don't feel that you would engage in this conversation in good faith.
Then why are you here? Why did you stand up to talk to me if you don't want to have a conversation? You're saying that you discovered that you're a woman. I'm asking you how you did. That's a very fair question. Okay. How do you know that you're a woman?
See, this is what I don't get. He stated all the reasons he was right, but when Matt asked him a very valid question, he just dodged it, saying that Matt wouldn't approach this topic in good faith. How do you expect people to understand where you're coming from if you believe that people with different beliefs are completely wrong from the get-go? Just watch how Matt questions the entire experience of this person and brings out the absurdity in it.
It's interesting you're telling me that you listen to the experiences of other transgender people.
Well, yeah.
But what about women?
So
trans women are women, you would say, right?
I would say that, yeah.
Exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay, well then why do you need to hear the testimony of quote unquote trans women? How you pick any actual woman in this room? In what way do you know that you belong in the same category as them?
I know because they tell me. So here was the...
You need them to tell you what you are?
Women. Yes. I trust the opinions of the women around me.
And if most women...
It's incredible. You might try it sometime.
If most women voted and said they don't see you as a woman, would you say I'm not a woman anymore?
If who?
If most women voted and said they don't see you as a woman anymore, would you then relent and say I'm not a woman?
I would say most people on the planet have no idea who I am. I'm going to trust the opinions of the people who've spent their lives with me.
But you are relying on other people to tell you who you are, is what we're establishing.
This person has just admitted to the fact that their entire identity is based on what other people say about them. Imagine if someone told them that they're a dog and ended up like that one weird dude who runs around pretending to be a wolf.
When and how did you discover this inner wolfness?
Probably around age 10 or 11. I was watching an anime about wolves and see the wolf running across the screen, and I'm somehow just intrinsically like, oh, that's me.
Yeesh. I wish I could unsee that. You know the woke ideology has reached its fever pitch when you watch this next clip. We literally have 5th graders coming out to tell people the obvious.
Transgender boys who might not have their own money to go buy tampons, if they're provided free in the bathroom, it's a huge plus.
Men do not menstruate. Only women menstruate. Now, you can call yourself whatever you want.
Cis men don't menstruate, but trans men do menstruate.
No,
Same
they
as
don't.
non-binary people.
Only women.
Menstruating is not exclusive
Yes,
to
it
cis
is.
women. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So explain to me as to why my body menstruated at
If
some
your
point
chromosomes are XX and you're young, you menstruate. If you're XY, you don't.
Correct, but what about trans men and non-binary?
They're
We're
not
excluding
men.
a whole group of
They're
people
women
that
dressed
menstruate.
as men. You are not a man. You can pretend to be a man, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Live your life. Tell me what a man is.
Well, what's a man to you? You define a man for me.
You have chromosomes that are X and Y. That's what a man is.
So why are we just looking at the science of this as an example? When we've learned sex and gender identity are they're completely different things.
They're not completely.
Ah, yes. America has finally shifted its focus onto the most pressing matters like the tampons needed in men's bathrooms. How the hell did we devolve this badly as a society? I'm pretty sure any 5th grader from this teacher's classroom has a greater IQ than this person here. Anyway, let's see where this train of thought is going for these people.
Sex is what you're born with, the sexual reproductive organs you have. Gender is what you identify with. They're completely
Well, I don't
different
accept that
things.
distinction. You have to argue for it. You're just giving a conclusion. You're just making it up. The people who hate the truth, are because they see the truth as hateful. If you want to identify in any way you can, you're free to do so. But that does not mean that the rest of us have to join that illusion. You disagree, I disagree with you, and so you call it hate. But there's no hate in my heart at all. So that's
You
wrong.
are being hateful when you tell somebody that identifies as a man that they're not a man.
That's not hateful. That's a fact.
This teacher is absolutely bodying every person who's trying to change facts about basic biology. The person has clearly come with an agenda to prove that men also menstruate. Does this person ever hear themselves as they say this shit out loud? I kid you not. These are the problems that we have deemed necessary to bring before meetings with government officials. Just check out this clip.
Can men get pregnant?
Mr. Chairman, no.
Ms. Marilyn, can men get pregnant?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chair, to that point.
And I'm not done. Define what a woman is, in your opinion.
Relevance, point of order. Thank you very much.
It is relevant, and point of order not recognized. I would like you to answer that, because you are speaking on behalf of a bill that involves pregnant women, and I would like to get your take on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm speaking in opposition to a bill related to the domestic violence against people who are pregnant.
Against a woman who is pregnant. That's in the bill, not people, woman. So I would like you to explain, what, in your definition, what a woman is.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
There are people who identify as different genders who are capable of getting pregnant. That is my position on this. I am not going to feed more into the bigotry of that question.
For context, this meeting is being held to discuss a new bill concerning the safety of pregnant women. This person speaking to the chair member believes that men can also get pregnant, and when the chairperson questions them and asks them to define what a woman is, she, of course, says his question is bigoted. Anyway, let's see what happens next.
And it's a sad day in our nation where you have a a bill that's being run that is protecting pregnant women. Just a few short years ago, we knew what a woman was. We knew men could not get pregnant, and I still believe they cannot get pregnant. I was called a bigot this morning because of that philosophy. It's insane where we become, and until we continue to push back on the idiocy that's out there as to men getting pregnant, people that cannot define what a woman is, and we have to keep telling the truth that God created them male and female, and real men protect real women.
This guy is speaking straight facts. We have an entire crowd of people who are saying men can get pregnant but can't even define what a woman is. How about we all stick to the definitions of male and female we've had throughout our entire existence, yeah? Our economies are crashing, and we're concerned that men don't have access to tampons. I think we're pretty cooked as a society if this is the path we're going to follow. But what do you think? Do we still have hope? Or are we past the point of no return?